Hello folks, it's clayrammage. This time we have a little different kind of video. I thought I would take some time and just show you guys how I do some research on an item. I picked up this book recently at a Goodwill bins trip. Some of you may have seen the haul video. And it's a book, it's called A Voice from the Silence by Charles Philip Nettleton. And, you know, I saw it in the bins. I saw it was an older looking book, let's just put it that way, compared to most of what's in the book bins that they have at my Goodwill Outlet Store. And if you look at the cover, you can see it's got some issues going on. It's got some wrinkles where the cloth is releasing from the boards. The glue isn't holding well. You see this discoloration around the edges. That actually is from the glue that was used to hold the book together. You also see this dark area here. So this outer area has all faded. So it sat somewhere with another book on top of it for a long time, or what appears to be another book at least. And so this outside faded to a white, and you've got this bluish grayish interior, which would have been more the original color. And that's why you're not seeing the discoloration from the glue as strongly in there. But anyway, so I saw this and I thought, okay. And one of the first things I always do is open it up. And when I open it up, this was the first thing I saw. It says, "To Bryant, from Mother, Christmas 1904. And you can tell from the script that this is older script, and it was written with a fountain pen, not a ballpoint or marker or anything. Compared to this bit below it, you can see, which is another inscription that was done in 1976. That was done by ballpoint pen, so you can see very clearly what that is. So anyway, that had me interested, and then I will go to this page. This was then on the opposite side, this little library label, and it says Bryant S. Drake. Okay, so this would have been the original owner that this book was given to from his mother in 1904. So that's kind of cool. So we have a little bit of history with names. And then I didn't get a picture of this, but this, I kind of cropped it off. But this second inscription is from a grandfather to his granddaughter, that he gave this book to her in 1976. So there's a little bit of history there, and we'll get into that a little bit later. You'll see more of that history come out. But the reason I bought the book was because of this initial inscription, 1904. I just thought 1904 is a good age. I'm going to buy it. I love old books. But then I flipped a couple pages, and then there's this page, and it says, "These signatures can add nothing to the worth of the work, but they stand in loving remembrance of the man." And I was like, that's an interesting little inscription at the beginning. Then there's three signatures. One is Edwin Markham, one that I couldn't decipher initially. It kind of looks like a Miller as the last name there. And then this Ina Coolbreath at the bottom. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. There's three signatures here. The book was printed with the intention of them signing the book. So that's interesting. Number two. So it got me intrigued. What is going on? So then I flipped to the next page. And this is the title page. Voice from the Silence, Charles Philip Nettleton, edited by Ina Coolbreath. Ah, that's one of those signatures. The last signature, Ina Coolbreath. I thought, oh, cool. So the book is at least signed by the editor of the book, Isabel Darling, Reverend Hamilton Lee. Nope, those aren't the other two signatures. So I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Who's the other two signatures? Don't know. But then as I was flipping through the book, I found a letter in an envelope. And this is the letter. And this is where it goes back to that 1976 inscription from the grandfather to the granddaughter. And he says in here that this book was written by his uncle. So Charles Philip Nettleton was his uncle. And this particular copy of the book was given to his brother-in-law, the guy who married his older sister. So that's the direct provenance now of this book. Comes from the family of the author. And I don't know how this gentleman got it, because he says he gave his copy that he got from his mother to someone else, but his mother gave this copy to his brother-in-law. So when it says mother in the book, it's actually his mother-in-law, which I think was interesting. But he goes on to tell a little history of the guy, and then he gives her a couple other books, and that's kind of the end of the letter. But then as I was flipping through the book some more, I found this piece of paper in another section, and this is actually the author's signature, C.P. Nettleton. So this is Charles Philip Nettleton, and it's pasted on the back of this piece of paper. And on the other side of this piece of paper are these different inscriptions by different family members. So this one, it says, sorry, it's too hard for me to read on this. I think all you speak. Lovingly, your mother, Alice S. Frickstad. Now, Frickstad is she was the one who commissioned and copyrighted this book. So that's the mother, the sister of Charles Philip Nettleton. And then there's several other Frickstads who signed it, and then some Drakes. 2 Drakes, and the rest are all Frickstads. So it's all just a compilation of different quotes from different family members that somehow got stuck in this book. And I'm not sure if some of those quotes are in this book, and that's why they wrote them down, or if it's associated with the book at all, or just a group of family quotes. I don't really know. But I'm keeping it all together. Well, then the next thing I did was I went out I typed in, because in this letter, he talks about Ina Coolbrith. That's a hard name to say. Anyway, he talks about her, and so I typed her into a search engine, and up came this article on her. And she was an American poet. She was the first California poet laureate. So she has some great prominence as a poet. And, in California, she was the very first person. She is also the niece of the founder of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, which is another interesting connection to this. But then as I was reading this, up pops this name, Joaquin Miller. And I was like, hold it here. This middle signature that I couldn't decipher is Joaquin Miller. So now I have another connection. Okay, so now we know who that third signature is. And he is better known by his pen name, Joaquin Miller, was an American poet, author, and frontiersman. His nickname is Poet of the Sierras, after the Sierra Nevada, about which he wrote in one of his songs of the Sierras. So, and it says here that Coolbrith befriended the poet Joaquin Miller and helped him gain global fame. So he was a worldwide known poet along with her at this particular time. Now, what's interesting, when I clicked on his and started doing some reading under his, I believe it was his. Oh, yes. No, it wasn't. So just got some more information on him. But then I went back to that first signature, and I typed in the first signature, which was Edwin Markham. And here comes Edwin Markham, another poet. So all 3 of those signatures are from well-known poets. And when you read his biography, there's a direct connection to, and that's his, and here's his career, and there's a mention in here of his friends with Joaquin Miller and Ina Coolbrith. I always want to say birth, but it's breath. So here's a connection. All 3 of these were together, and knew each other. This kind of documents that it's totally possible those 3 signatures are legitimate. because they all three knew each other. They all three were in the same circle of friends along with this Charles Phillips Nettleton. Because when I searched him, Nettleton. So sometimes I go right to Wikipedia just to find out if the people we're talking about are real. Now, in this case, it says he does not exist in Wikipedia. So that didn't help me any there. But when I do a general search, Charles Philip Nettleton, up comes his book. And his book is being republished right now. It's being sold on Amazon and different things. He also has several other books that have been published and reselling. So when I click on this, it does make the connection then to Ina Coolbrith as being the author of a voice of, or the editor of this book. So it's, here it says author, but it's not. Charles Phillip was the author. She was the editor. So that's kind of how I do that. I just kind of start looking around, trying to make connections with some of the names that are there. And like I say, the one signature you couldn't really decipher it, but through typing in one of the other people, we made the connection, which is one of the great things about the internet today. So now, where does that leave me with this book? I have no idea, honestly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, because I don't want to keep it as much as I think it's a fabulous book. I'm going to list it on eBay as an auction, starting at whatever amount. I don't even know. Some of the works from Ina Coolbrith are worth, into the thousands of dollars. So that's her, stuff signed by her, written by her. A book like this, which there's probably only a handful of these original copies. We know there's more than one because family members got them, and they may have published them only for the family originally. Who knows? Again, the publishing of these was, like I say, it was a very limited run. So I don't know. I couldn't find any information on the original publishing. But that's kind of how we start. Part of this business is figuring out how much time do you want to spend on any one item to determine its true value. Is this book worth thousands of dollars? I have no idea. Could it be? Yes, given the prominence of the signatories in the book. But, to spend all the time to try to figure that out, contact people, try to find an auction, the specialty auction that deals with poetry or these particular writers. I don't know. Or you can throw it on eBay, trying to do a test market, if you will, a smaller segment of the test market for collectors. Now, guaranteed there's going to be collectors of poetry that are looking, under specific names like Joaquin Miller or Ina Coolbrith, who is probably she is the most prominent one. So she'll definitely feature prominently in my listing. And then for those people who are saving listings, they have their little search saved. It'll pop up and hopefully gain interest through that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll probably start it out at $99 and see where it goes. But it's one of those fun things. But I just wanted to take some time and show you guys how I do a little bit of research. And to determine more information and even stumble upon some information that I didn't know before. So anyway, just a quick little lesson. Thanks for watching.